Okay, so let's see if do we got audio now? You don't hear anything?
It still says waiting for
It says
operator to go home.
check one, check two,
Not yet.
check one, check
Oh,
one,
yeah,
check two. You got it?
there's something.
Okay. Do you have your headphones in so you can listen? Check one, check two, check.
Yeah, it works.
Okay, finally. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay, so I did a couple of live streams earlier today thinking that I was recording my audio, but it's obvious I don't really understand the StreamYard audio as well as I should. And after some tech support, I was able to find out what the problem actually was. So let's see here if I do a share screen here. You got to click everything on this. Okay, so if you don't have this clicked here, regardless of whether or not the mic is muted here, so you can mute it like this, or it's already unmuted. But if you do not have this thumbnail highlighted in blue, you're not going to stream audio. So I had no clue that I needed to do that. So now that I learned that, now we can read the law together. Deuteronomy 11. Perfect. All right. So this is where I wanted to be. Okay, great. Okay, let's start. Deuteronomy 11. Therefore, thou shalt love the Lord thy God and keep his charge and his statutes and his judgments and his commandments always. Okay, so if we go here and we look at this word charge, which is mismeret, means it's a function, an obligation, right? To keep the charge of the Lord. Okay, it says the act, custody, or concretely the century, right? Which means like a guard, the post, objectively preservation, or concretely safe. Figuratively means observance. Okay, so if we looked at the outline of the or the concordance results for where they used this word before, you can see it was used in Genesis 26 and 5. Um, and it will and it this is basically God's promise to um, to Abraham here. It says Isaac settles in Gerar. So it says, actually, it says famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, and the Lord unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down unto Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge and commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So you could see here that because Abraham kept the charge, was the promise made, right? It says, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws, that all these good things happen to Abraham and his children after him, Isaac and Jacob, right? And then you have the 12 patriarchs, the fathers of each house um, of the families of Israel, right? They're all blessed because of the keeping of the charge of Yahweh, the commandments. So keeping the charge is very, very important. And it says, and his statutes, his judgments, and his commandments always. Okay. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children which have not known and which have not seen the chastisement of the Lord your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt, unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and unto all his land, and what he did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses, and to their chariots, and how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how the Lord hath destroyed them unto this day, and what he did unto you in the wilderness until ye came unto this place, and what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the son of the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households and their tents and all their substances that were in their possession in the midst of Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of the Lord which he did. Therefore ye shall keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that ye may be strong and go and possess the land where ye go to possess it. So here you see that God is saying that, look, you've seen the earth swallow up them who were unrighteous and unbelieving, even though that they had seen all these great miracles, these terrible and great wonders that were done unto Egypt and unto Pharaoh, who wouldn't let the people of Yahweh go, but by a strong hand, right, the hand of God. So you have all these signs and these wonders, the pillar of fire, at night, the cloud of smoke by day, all these great things that the Israelites had seen. And he says, therefore you shall keep all the commands which I command you this day, saying, look at how many miracles that you have seen. Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that ye may be strong and go in and possess the land whither ye go in to possess it, right? So he's saying, and keep the commandments and be blessed. But even though, on the flip side, we got to take a look at the shadow of those things, which is, now if you choose not to believe, even though you have seen all these miracles and all these great acts, that you will be destroyed, utterly destroyed, right? And those are for the people who have seen. But then there's another way to look at this too. There is a way to let me go to Blue Letter real quick. Okay. All right. So it says here, go to John. Okay, so then you have the part where Yahweh, he came in and he revealed himself unto the apostles. It says, okay, and when he revealed himself to the apostles, he said, but Thomas, one of the 12 called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, peace be unto you. Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my God. And Yahweh said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Right? Only after you've seen have you believed. But then what does he say next? He says, blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed, right? In other words, blessed are those who have had faith in Yahweh, that haven't seen these great miracles, these 10 great plagues, mighty and terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt, that hadn't seen the frogs, that hadn't seen the lice, the darkness, that divided waters of the Red Sea collapse upon Pharaoh's army, the angel of death, that had passed over the Israelites, but yet had slew everyone who didn't have the blood upon their doorposts. The dividing wall of darkness between Israel and Pharaoh's army. Blessed are those people who haven't seen any of that stuff. Blessed are they that have not seen, yet have believed, but yet they still have faith. And that's the position that we're in right now. because we haven't seen those great and mighty miracles, but yet we're going to be blessed because we have faith. So let's have faith. This is why the law is important, because we need, even though we haven't seen, right? We understand when we hear that law. Like, I can at least tell you that when I hear the law, that I know it's right, because the word of God is righteous, and it's a light, right, in this dark world that shines a path in the way that you should go, that you recognize instantly that that's the truth. You know, blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. Okay, let's go back to Deuteronomy 11. Let's go to 19. And that ye may prolong your days in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give unto them and to their seed that floweth with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from whence ye came out, where thou sowedst thy seed and waterest it with thy foot as the garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven, a land which the Lord thy God careth for. The eyes of the Lord thy God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he hath shut up the heaven, and there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, and lest ye perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord hath given you. So here you see a connection between the land of Israel, the inheritance which God gave his people, and the actual flesh of Israel, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's a connection there. So where that when the children do those commandments, those things which God has commanded them to do, that the land flourishes, and the land yields her strength in the produce, right, of the land. The fruit, the grain increases and sustains the Israelites enough for them to not only survive but to thrive, not just for that season but seasons to come, for them to be able to put the produce thereof into storehouses, uh, that it would safeguard their future, because it's not the food that's providing the safeguard, it's the obedience to Yahweh's word, and they're being rewarded in everything. The land is even rewarding them. But at the other side of the coin is when the Israelites disobey the commandments, then even the land of their inheritance will not yield her strength, and she'll dry up and will not produce those things that are needful for the children of Israel to survive. So even the land will shrivel up, so much so where it becomes a burden unto the children of Israel. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thine gates. Okay, so here you see that we're to have these laws on our mind, right? It says, therefore shall you lay up my words in your heart and in your soul and bind them for a sign upon your hand. Not only are we supposed to be thinking about these laws, only we're supposed to actually do them, to remember them and to enact them in our lives, to live by them, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes, right? So what's between your eyes? Your mind is between your eyes. The law is supposed to be on your mind. They're telling you plainly here. Yahweh is telling you plainly here, Deuteronomy 11:18, that the law is always to be on your mind. So much so that it says in the next verse, and you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, when thou risest up, saying, listen, when you teach your children, teach them as Yahweh has taught you how to live, right? For me, I was a Christian before it, right? And living like the Christian way, believing that the laws were no more, and that I could somehow please God without doing the laws, and that the laws were a curse, right? When we know that that's a half the story. According to the law, they're either a blessing or a curse, depending on whether you do them or not. So living as a Christian um, is basically how I started. I would say the first half of my life, and then coming to the second half of my life, and finally beginning to understand that I needed to live by these laws to please Yahweh. Um, and I start to think about these laws, and start to, think about, when I go to work, like, oh, okay, got to make sure I got my fringes ready. That's the law. Whenever I get new clothes, it's like, okay, I got to make sure that everything I get is 100%. So for me, I like cotton. Cotton's comfortable. So I think about every time I buy clothes, okay, I got to make sure it's 100%. When I go to the grocery store and we get food, I got to make sure that the food that we have is clean according to the word of Yahweh, you know. So I'm thinking about these things, not just these physical things either, but also in the spirit of the law, and thinking about my conduct on a personal level, uh, with my coworkers, with my family, with anybody that I come into contact with, and to make sure that I keep myself in check, you know, reg- and in the spirit of the law, you know. So constantly thinking about the law in regards to your conduct and in regards to the way you live is what it's talking about here. And we learn these things as an adult, right? So before, when we're in the world, we're eating bacon, we're eating sausage, for breakfast in the morning, breaking these laws, right? But your children shouldn't grow up like that. Think about it. If your parents were obeying the law and they taught you as a child, circumcise you on that eighth day, right? And told you, why? Because it's a law. You had never eaten bacon or sausage before because your parents told you that's an unclean animal, and they raised you up in this way, right? To teach your children according to the law, um, is what Yahweh wants you to do. He wants godly children. So this is why we have this exhortation here in Deuteronomy 11 and 19, and you shall teach them your children, speaking of them the laws, when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, to teach them in the way of Yahweh, to show them that path, to give them that direction, to give them that straight way, that straight path, that they would walk by the light of truth, that they would have that pillar of strength, of light, and of truth that Yahweh is, that we never had as children growing up, right? But by the mercy of Yahweh, He's revealed Himself to us through His word, through His law. And I thank Yahweh for that. And just I think about the blessings and opportunities that, you know, our children in the future are going to have because of his word, and it's a great thing. So this is definitely an important part of the law, to teach your children about the law of Yahweh. Okay, let's move on. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thy gates. Okay, and here's another thing too, because let's see here. Let me go to, see. Okay, so here it says here, John 10:6. This parable spake Jesus unto them, but they understood not the things that were which he spake unto them. Then said Jesus unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. Okay, so you see here, Yahweh describes himself, or the one they call Jesus, describes himself as the door, right? But here, you also see a law concerning the door posts, that which the door, right, is hung upon. It says, and thou shalt write them, speaking of the law, upon the door posts of thine house and upon thine gates. So you see that which the door is hung upon the law. And that right there it lets you know the foundation of Yahweh was the law. He even says too, he's called the Word of God, right? He also says that his words aren't his own, but the Father shows him the things which he speaks, right? So again, pointing back to the law. So I think that's interesting too. And then you also have things like where the law is written on the gates too, which is, you could look at maybe something like the Las Lunas Decalogue stone, where the laws are written there. That could have been maybe their border or their gate. But you could see how these laws actually are being fulfilled by archaeological finds such as the Las Lunas Decalogue stone. Okay, and it says Deuteronomy 11:21, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which the Lord sware upon your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon. As he hath said unto you, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. And a curse if ye will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which you have known. Okay, so you see it here. We have a choice, you know. God gives you a choice here for the Israelites. God gives the Israelites a choice. One of two ways. You either do the commandments and be blessed, or you don't do the commandments and be cursed. In this, you have a choice. Do the commandments or forbear to do the commandments. Choose life, choose death. In this, you have a choice. It says here, he's giving you that choice. And it shall come to pass, says, and it shall come to pass when the Lord thy God hath brought thee in unto the land whereas thou goest, whether thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim and the curse upon Mount Ebal. And are they not on the other side Jordan, by the way where the sun goeth down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the champaign over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over Jordan to go and to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you, and ye shall possess it and dwell therein. And ye shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. Okay, and let's see here. Let's go to Psalms 29 and 2. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. See you on the next one.